I caught my wife laughing in our bedroom with a man from her office. She said, "Relax, it's just work talk." But her work shirt was half off and his belt was on the floor. I left without saying a word. The next day, she called me 12 times. I didn't answer. A month later, her company HR department called me for a statement. They had no idea I'd been recording everything, for weeks. She got fired. I got full custody. I'm a 42-year-old guy living in Dayton, Ohio. I work in auto parts distribution. I've been doing it for years. Long hours, not much excitement. But it pays the bills and gave my family a stable life. My wife, Jenna, was in corporate HR for a logistics company downtown. She was 37. Smart, quick with words, always dressed sharp. We were married 13 years. We have a 10-year-old son, Nate. He's my whole world. If this story wasn't about him, maybe I'd still be biting my tongue. But it is. Everything changed in slow, small ways. Jenna started working later, saying she had strategy meetings and onboarding sessions. I didn't think much of it at first. She was good at her job, always pushing for promotions. But I started noticing her coming home late on random Tuesdays. She'd change out of her work clothes before saying hi. Her phone was always face down. Her laugh even changed. Louder, more flirty, like something had switched inside her. Still, I gave her space. I thought we were just going through a rough patch. I figured it was work stress, or maybe she needed more me time. But something kept bugging me. That gut feeling, like when your stomach tightens but you can't explain why. I decided to test my instincts. I ordered a tiny voice recorder off Amazon. Cost me $60. It had a setting where it only recorded when it heard sound. I tucked it behind the dresser vent in our bedroom. I told myself I was paranoid. Told myself I'd listen back and feel stupid. I wasn't. The first week, all I heard were normal things. Her brushing her teeth. Talking on the phone to her mom. But then, on a Thursday afternoon, I heard a man's voice. Deep. Confident. Sounded like it was coming from right in our room. I listened closer. They were talking about some inside joke from her office. Then the laughing started. Then silence. Then soft sounds. Then, her voice, breathy. The words she said after that made my heart stop. I still didn't say anything. I moved the recorder to the living room. Bought a second one for her car. I swapped SD cards every night, labeled them by date, backed them up on a drive I kept hidden in the garage under a box of old tools. Over 3 weeks, I built a library of evidence. Same man's voice, multiple times. Always during the day, always when I was at work. Sometimes she'd giggle and say things like, "We have to be quiet," or, "This is just for us." Still, I waited. I knew I'd only get one shot at this. Then came the Friday that broke everything. I left work early. Told my boss I had a stomach bug. Drove home with a cold, dead feeling in my chest. Her car was already in the driveway. That wasn't unusual on a Friday, but she wasn't supposed to be off yet. I walked in through the garage, soft steps. No keys jangling. No door slam. The house was quiet except for laughter, coming from our bedroom. I moved down the hall, slow and careful. I already knew what I'd see. But I still hoped I was wrong. I wasn't. The door was cracked. I pushed it open just enough. Jenna was sitting on the edge of our bed. Her company polo was off one shoulder, bra strap showing. She was leaned in, smiling at a man who was sitting next to her. His khakis were still on, but his belt was on the floor, and his shirt was unbuttoned. His hand was on her leg. She turned and saw me. Her face didn't even twitch. "Relax," she said, calm as hell. "It's just work talk." That moment? It was like a bomb went off in my chest. But I didn't yell. Didn't throw anything. Didn't even ask a question. I just turned and walked out. Drove straight to a cheap motel off Route 35. I sat on the bed with my laptop and the recorder in my hand, listening to the audio I'd collected while they were still upstairs in my house. She called me 12 times that night. Left voicemails. Said I was imagining things. That it was just a joke. That they didn't do anything serious. I didn't answer. I didn't call back. I stayed gone for 3 weeks. Told Jenna I needed time to think. I moved in with my older brother and brought Nate with me. I said I needed help with school pickups and soccer practice. She didn't fight me on it. I think she thought I was going to forgive her eventually. But I wasn't sitting around being sad. I met with a divorce lawyer. A good one. Older guy. Tough. Wore corduroy jackets and never smiled. I showed him everything. The recordings, the logs, the calendar I kept of all the times she brought that man into our home. He leaned back in his chair, looked at me and said, "We're going to bury her." And then, out of nowhere, the company called me. Jenna's HR department. They wanted to gather background information, because they were doing an internal investigation. They said it involved Jenna and a male employee who reported to her. I didn't ask who snitched. I just said I'd be happy to cooperate. I met them in person. They were expecting me to say I didn't know anything. Instead, I pulled out my USB stick, plugged it into their laptop, and played 5 minutes of audio. 5 minutes. That's all it took. They were stunned. One of the guys got up and walked out. The woman sitting across from me asked if I had more. I said I had weeks. 2 days later, Jenna was fired. So was the guy. Turns out he was married too, 2 kids. His wife filed for divorce the same week. Then I filed for full custody of Nate. I had evidence of everything: neglect, inappropriate behavior in the home, possible abuse of power at work. I even included her texts trying to twist the story, saying it was just work banter, and I was being immature. The judge didn't hesitate. I got full custody. She gets supervised visits twice a month. That's it. After I got full custody, things were quiet. Too quiet. Like the eye of a storm. Jenna stopped calling me. She'd send a short text before her scheduled visits, just, "On my way," or "outside." No emotion. No apology. Just cold, clipped updates like we were co-workers passing in a hallway. For a while, I thought maybe that was it. Maybe she knew she lost and was backing off. I was wrong. About a month after the custody hearing, I started getting weird looks at Nate's school. One of the teachers, Mrs. Elliott, gave me a tight smile when I dropped him off. The principal barely nodded at me in the hallway. It was like I walked into a room where everyone had been talking about me 5 minutes ago. Then I got the call. CPS. Someone filed a report saying I was emotionally unstable and verbally abusive. They said Nate seemed fearful at home and described our house as chaotic and unsafe. I nearly dropped the phone. I met with the social worker that same week. I sat her down in my living room, brought out every single document. The recordings. The court order. My lawyer even called in on speaker to back up my timeline. After the interview, she said, "Honestly? This feels retaliatory." Yeah. No kidding. Turns out, Jenna filed the report anonymously. Or tried to. But her wording in the claim? It matched the language she used in texts I saved. Phrases like emotionally unfit and manipulative behavior. Same exact wording. My lawyer called it sloppy desperation. But CPS still had to do a full check. They interviewed Nate at school. Looked through our home. Talked to my neighbors. One of them, Dave, said he saw Jenna parked across the street more than once just sitting in her car for hours. That's when it hit me, she wasn't done. She wasn't just angry. She was planning something. 2 weeks later, I was served papers. Jenna was trying to reverse custody. Said she had new evidence. Her claim was that I was spying on her illegally, and that my recordings were a violation of privacy and therefore inadmissible as part of the divorce and custody rulings. She was playing dirty now. Real dirty. I sat across from my lawyer in his small office, holding the papers. My hands were shaking, not with fear, but with fury. She thinks she can win this? He shrugged. She can try. But if she pushes too hard, we can open a whole new can of worms. I knew what that meant. We hadn't touched the work angle much. Not in court. I had recordings of her talking about screwing over co-workers, laughing about firing people she didn't like, even joking about HR complaints she buried because she didn't want the paperwork. She thought I'd let that all go. I didn't. I told my lawyer, use everything. We went back to court. This time, it was uglier. Jenna came in with a new lawyer, flashy guy in a slick blue suit who looked like he practiced his smirk in the mirror. They tried to paint me as a bitter ex, a control freak who used spyware to trap a hard-working woman in a moment of weakness. They called the recordings invasive and non-consensual. But here's the thing, they weren't illegal. My lawyer shut that down fast. Ohio law only requires one-party consent for audio recordings. And since I lived in that house, I had every right to document what went on under that roof. Especially since I wasn't using the audio to blackmail or harass. Just to prove a pattern of behavior for custody reasons. Then Jenna's lawyer started poking at my work history. Said I had no college degree. Said I didn't make enough money to support a stable future for a growing child. That's when my lawyer pulled out the recordings we hadn't used yet. We played a snippet in court, Jenna laughing with the guy she cheated with, mocking a female employee who had filed a harassment complaint. She said, if she can't handle a dirty joke, she shouldn't be in logistics. Then she said, besides, he's hot. I'd let him grab me too. Silence. Even her lawyer sat still. But I wasn't done. We submitted email screenshots too, leaked by someone anonymous in her former department. Emails where she hinted at approving a fake sick leave for the same guy she was sleeping with. Emails where she denied another woman a promotion and joked, she needs to lose 20 pounds and stop crying. It was a pattern of behavior. Not just one mistake. Jenna lost it in court. Raised her voice. Said I was ruining her life and twisting everything. The judge warned her to keep it together. But she couldn't. That same week, I got an email from a burner account. No name. Just an attachment. It was a video. Security camera footage from her old office. It showed Jenna and the same guy, him pressing her against the door of an empty break room, kissing her. Middle of a workday. Timestamped 11:14 a.m. I don't know who sent it. Maybe someone she screwed over. Maybe a janitor tired of being ignored. But now I had visual proof. I turned it in. After that, her petition to reverse custody was dropped. Quietly. No hearing. Her lawyer quit 3 days later. But she didn't disappear. She started showing up at Nate's soccer games, unannounced. Sitting in the back, wearing sunglasses, pretending like nothing happened. Nate told me she tried to give him a phone, said it was just for him, and that he didn't have to tell me. That was the final straw. I filed for a restraining order. But before the court date, I found out something that hit me like a gut punch. Jenna was pregnant. When I found out Jenna was pregnant, I didn't believe it at first. The email came from her. Just one sentence: "I'm pregnant. Thought you should know." No hello. No name. No emotion. Just that. At first, I ignored it. But my lawyer said we had to take it seriously. If it was mine, she could use it to reopen custody again. I knew damn well it wasn't mine. I hadn't touched her since months before the affair. Not even a kiss. But that didn't mean she wouldn't try to twist it. I asked her straight up through my lawyer for proof. Paternity test, OB records, anything. She refused. Said I was harassing a pregnant woman. But 2 weeks later, the truth came out. Her ex-affair partner's wife emailed me. She'd filed for divorce already, and apparently Jenna had been trying to reach her ex behind his back again. The wife was done playing nice. She sent me screenshots of texts Jenna had sent him, including, "If you just step up, we can raise this baby together. You know it's yours. I still love you. I always did." It made me sick. I sent everything to my lawyer. He added it to the restraining order case and custody file. Her credibility was shot to hell now. But I wanted more than that. I wanted to be sure she couldn't mess with Nate's life again. So I made one last move. I contacted her old company. Sent them the video footage I got from the anonymous email. Along with the emails she'd sent while still working there, mocking other employees and making fun of sexual harassment complaints. Their legal team responded. Said the case was under review. 3 months later, I saw her name in a headline. Not a big one. Just a business journal blurb about former HR managers facing potential class action lawsuits. Apparently, 3 women from her old department had filed claims. One even went on record saying Jenna retaliated against her for turning down a male supervisor. The story got shared around LinkedIn. Word spread fast. She was done in that industry. Blacklisted. Then came the restraining order hearing. I stood across from her in court again. She looked tired. Hair pulled back, face pale, belly starting to show. She didn't speak. Her lawyer did all the talking. But when the judge asked if she had anything to say, she looked right at me and said, "You destroyed my life." I didn't flinch. I just said, "You did that all by yourself." The judge granted the order. She can't come within 200 feet of me or Nate. No more pop-ups. No more secret gifts. No more phones. 6 months passed. She had the baby. A girl. From what I heard, the other guy wants nothing to do with either of them. His ex-wife took full custody of their kids, and Jenna ended up moving into a small apartment outside the city. As for me, I stayed quiet. Focused on Nate. Got a promotion at work. I even started going to therapy, not because I was broken, but because I didn't want this poison living in my chest any longer. But I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I still hear her voice in my head saying, "Relax, it's just work talk." And every time I do, I remember the moment I walked away. Not with yelling. Not with fists. But with proof. And I burned her entire world down, one quiet file at a time.